Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and you know it's always helpful to have an understanding of the seasonality of teas. There's certain teas that arrive at certain points when they are fresher, and then whether you want to wait and choose that season, because some teas have more than one harvest per year. So you can decide, well, do I want that first, for example, that earliest one, the middle one if there's a middle, the latest one, because there can be differences in the elements of that tea depending on when it is harvested. I've got a Darjeeling that's going to kind of talk a little bit about that aspect today. So I'm going to scoop in enough, and I'm using a more traditional taster's cup, tasting set here. And that covers the bottom. I'm going to give just a little faint sprinkle more there. Covers the bottom surface of my cup there. So I'm going to set this aside for just a moment and add my water. My water's been brought to a boil and then it's been cooling for about a minute. It was an early boil, wasn't a full rolling boil. So there should be plenty of heat there. Now you're going to notice that with a cup being set like this, there's a notch or some kind of opening for pouring. I want to get enough water just underneath that. Looks good. Get this water out of the way, put my lid on. Lid has a hole, and when you pour, this is like a miniature teapot, and this is your handle. You want your hole to be over towards your handle there, so that the air and the water, when it's tilted, water flows out, air can enter through the hole there at the top. So while I'm letting that steep for just a while, talk about this tea and introduce it. This is from Mark T. Wendell Tea Company. This is the 2012 Castleton Estate First Flush. You can find, this is of course a Darjeeling tea I mentioned already. You can find 4 ounces available on the website currently. Time of the post here, $21.50. This again, the Castleton is in the Kurseong, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Kurseong region of Darjeeling, which is middle / slightly southern area of the area, depending. I can't remember precisely where Castleton is in that area, but this particular estate is known for having mostly, of course, China bushes, tea bushes that were originally brought in from China, rather than some of the more local types that might have been, hybridized with some local Assams, for example. This one is a lot of China clones from those China bushes as well. And so this one is called if you look at the product information on Mark T. Wendell's website, Special China Clonal FTGFOP1. Okay, fancy, tippy, golden, flowery, orange, Pecco 1. Okay. So that is a little bit about this tea. I want to talk about the components of the tea and the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. Now, Darjeelings are known for having a muscatel, a grape type of component to them. That component can be stronger in, say, the second flush than the first flush, or the autumnal third flush, depending on how it's called. Let's go ahead and give this one a smell and see what's in this one. This one has some nice floral components. It is releasing a grape type of aroma, a muscat grape type of sweetness to it. So that's positive. I'm not, at this point, I'm not detecting a lot of other nuances. Perhaps a light hint of something kind of cedar-like coming out here. Looking at these leaves, I'm seeing greens. Now, I'm getting most of these leaf portions or leaves are less than an inch in length, or just barely an inch. I see lots of green, light, bright green type colors in there. I'm shaking around here, just kind of stirring through here. Some brownish, almost a rust red type color to them. others moving more towards a kind of a grayish brown ochre type color. I'm looking for silvery bud type colors as well, and those are there. I see one here and there, and it's I would say less than 10% is that silvery type color, at least in the scoops that I'm moving around here. They are there. Now when I kind of scrape through this, perhaps because they're a little bit smaller, they may have settled down to some of the lower reaches of this particular 4-ounce tin. So I would say 10%, less than 10%, but look for a little bit more. That's the best I can tell you, depending on how your tin was scooped out and how it settled, and how you are able to pull those back up. Now I'm going to get ready to pour. Now traditionally, the usual way to pour is to pour into your cup here, but I want us to be able to see the liquor, so I'm going to use an extra part for this, and that is my pitcher here, pouring just like so. Nice, slow, smooth pour. Should be getting enough air from the top up here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to put my thumbnail kind of right in between, let a little bit more air come in through there to help that pour and flow a little bit more smoothly. Now I'm going to give this a shake, get those last few drops out. That looks good. Some other advantages I'm going to be able to kind of show as I use this tasting cup. First thing, I want to give it a smell here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a shake here. That's good. Rich, still, again, stronger, rich, sweet smells, like, again, that grape type smell. It's been called wild grape vine, kind of, or wild grape type of smell as well. And that's coming out too. A faint, almost like a gingerbread type aroma coming off too. So it's sweet, it's warm. Again, got some heat there with the kind of baked, toasted type of gingerbread cookies type smell. That's present. Now, the other thing, talking about looking at the leaves, the tasting cup was designed so that you can turn it upside down, shake it so that your leaves will rest on your lid, and then you're able, tea buyers would be able then to kind of look at the leaves. And as we do that, I'm noticing a lot of that, those darker colors have become lighter. So I get a lot of variations of green from that still a fairly bright green over to olive drab type color. You can see where some of the stem portions are still darker, a lighter brown type of color there. Kind of mash this around, press this around my finger. I see either, it's hard to tell, but these are either needles or tips, or they are very young leaves that have been broken so that you get the upper portion, the tip portion of the leaf, and it's curled in on itself, so those parts look delicate. They look like young, very young leaves. For example, if I can just kind of tease some of the little pieces off of this. Here's a nice young tender leaf, like a pale yellowish green, and actually inside of it you can tell is a new leaf still being formed. So that was likely a needle type component there. So they are present, and perhaps they stand out better in the wet leaf format there. So I'm going to go now and get ready to pour this. Talk about the liquor here. We give that a swirl. Here is a nice caramelly type of color. This has more of an orange type color. This is not what many people would first think of when you talk about a black tea, or a black tea, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this just like so, and give this a taste and a smell. Looking down into the cup, Again, still good color there as well. Still still some of that muscatel type smell, that sweet grape, red globe grape type smell coming off. I'm trying to give it another shot here. The grape is still the strongest component. In other tastings of other Darjeelings, as I try to compare this in the catalog in my head, the second flushes, I tend to detect more of almost a sweet rose type of smell coming off there. This one seems to have some of that deep down intrinsically in its essence somewhere, but it's just not coming out yet. It's got some briskness to it, and that's partly due to the time that I used for steeping this. It's not harsh. It's just got a fairly thorough and extensive light astringency to it. It's not overwhelming. It's not harsh. It's not off-putting, but it is there. And it doesn't overpower the aromas there, so that when it gets to the aftertaste, you do have this kind of feeling there's a coating on your tongue, kind of a light drying feeling. Yet, in your lower jaw, underneath your tongue there, you start to get this kind of juicy type of reaction going. Your tongue is starting to, that area is building up this kind of a crushed grape is resting there, and its juices are gradually spreading throughout your mouth. So that's what's happening here. There's a sweet tart grape type element there, just building up. So it's a nice, pleasant aftertaste. Makes you want to kind of smack your lips, smack your tongue, and on the top of on the roof of your mouth. So when I look at this has nice components. Again, I was looking for some subtlety, some complexity compared to other first flush Darjeelings. Some of the ones that I've tasted off camera. This one that I tasted off camera, I just did not find the same subtle range of subtleties to kind of pick at in the character of this tea. So I would give this tea still nice. Still not, you can't really say that it's flawed. So I would give this tea a 90. Nice components. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find those teas that have the range of subtleties, the ones that are good everyday teas, and those others that you're looking for, really.